Good morning and thanks for joining us. Holly Shields here for Kalkine TV, welcoming you all to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. The show where we bring to you industry leaders, successful business owners and market experts all under one roof to help you discover the insights of the economy. On today's show, we're joined by Ian Jones, Chairman of Carbon Asset Solutions, the company who combines their patented agricultural equipment and soil carbon sequestration processes, as well as blockchain asset management to offer soil carbon. Welcome to the show, Ian. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Good morning, Holly, and hello, everybody.
Great to have you on. So to kick things off, carbon sequestration has been trending for quite some time now. How is Carbon Asset Solutions' approach different from your peers?
Well, Carbon Asset Solutions, or CAS as we like to call it, is quite unique. And it's unique because we're connecting some of the most advanced technologies anywhere with a really simple nature-based climate solution. Our focus is on helping the world transition to net carbon zero by making atmospheric carbon removal viable and cost-effective. And at the moment it isn't. We're at a really interesting time in the world right now. It reminds me of about 20 years ago when the internet started to make a big impact, creating incredible business and investment opportunities. The current transition is driven by climate change, and solving climate change is really the investment opportunity of this decade. We all know that companies and countries are making pledges to become net zero, but there's a subtlety, which is where the new opportunity arises. Being net zero is not just about reducing emissions, because you can only reduce emissions so far. There's always a residual carbon footprint. And to be true net zero, you've got to get rid of that. And the only way to do this is by buying a carbon offset, which is created by pulling carbon out of the atmosphere and locking it away or sequestering it. Soil is by far the most cost-effective way of removing atmospheric carbon at scale, but the problem is measuring, recording and verifying that process is really difficult and prohibitive, and that's been incredibly frustrating to creating an efficient carbon credit supply chain for the emerging voluntary carbon markets. We focused on connecting the technology platforms to allow us to create a fast, cost-effective and very reliable supply chain for carbon credits. And we're focused on rolling out across the end of this calendar year and early 2022.
Right. So, where the difficulty of measuring the carbon, as you mentioned, has been the case in the past, that's where CAS has stepped in. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's correct. We had to really solve three problems. The measuring is only one part of it. At the moment, measuring carbon in soils is incredibly inaccurate, and they measure just a tiny sample, and then they try and estimate what the carbon is across a very wide area, and it really doesn't produce a carbon credit that meets the the governance standards of the capital markets. What we did is we licensed precision measuring technology from the United States. It's co-owned by the US Department of Agriculture and Auburn University in Alabama, and it measures soil carbon volume with a precision of 10,000 times better than any other methodology, and it does it real time and for a fraction of the cost. So that we've got a global exclusive license to that technology. We're just going through the last stage of commercial production to roll out the technology. We then link that data flow into a blockchain recording system to create an accuracy, and then we have created a proprietary digital audit pathway, which means we can verify the carbon credits really quickly and cost effectively. So we solve the whole supply chain problem, not just the measurement part of it. And that is the key differentiator of what we do.
Those stats are, incredibly impressive. Apart from that technology you just mentioned, you also employ a variety of other technologies. Could you tell me a bit more about those?
Yeah, well, essentially, we are by and large a software platform. So we're a digital supply chain with the precision measurement equipment there. The recording mechanism, we use blockchain, as I mentioned. We're working with Microsoft. We're using their Azure cloud-based blockchain, and that allows us to manage the data securely and cost effectively. And also to program a whole range of different asset classes and types within the carbon credit units on the blockchain, which is really effective and assists carbon offset buyers to start to forward purchase, start to hedge against future price increases and things of that nature. And then the digital audit pathway, auditing or verifying carbon in the soil at the moment is a really slow process. It takes a lot of consultants. It takes often months of time and costs a lot. We've taken a different approach. We've integrated a whole digital software system, so we can essentially audit and verify it real time. For a fraction of the cost of any other method. So, as I said before, connecting the technologies together is what creates the whole game-changing platform, and that's what we've been doing over the last 2 years.
And it sounds very cost-effective as well. And how about for the farmers? How does it economically benefit them?
It's again, we've created a whole different model for farmers. When a farmer agrees to become part of our new methodology, they sign up to become part of it. We do a baseline scan measure of their property. There's no cost to the farmer for doing that, and they get a very precise carbon measure. They also get a soil carbon map, which shows the different levels of carbon all across their property. So it gives them a real guidance as to how they can direct their farming efforts to improve soil carbon sequestration. All that for a farmer is free, whereas under existing methodologies, it can often cost tens of thousands of dollars. We then go back and we remeasure in 1 or 2 years' time, depending upon a variety of factors, and then whatever is the additional increase becomes a carbon credit, which can be sold to the carbon markets. Because we're a precision supply chain and we're focused on selling to the international markets, farmers get much better price for the carbon credits, and that we can sell them more often, so they get a more regular cash flow into the system. So it's a real bonus for farmers to help them transition to sustainable farming and generate additional income.
Definitely. And you mentioned international work there. Which countries do you work with?
At the moment, we have subsidiary operations in the United States. That's largely a research facility. We've just established operations in Canada. That will be our first commercial rollout. I was interested to view just a few moments ago an article on your site about the carbon markets emerging in Canada. That's a big focus for us. And then we'll be rolling out in UK, Europe and Australia in 2022. So we've got entities sort of registered in different parts. Our focus is global. We're an Australian company originally, but we certainly have an international focus because solving climate action is a global problem.
Absolutely. That's a fact there, I think. And the market forecast for carbon price is expected to see an increase to reach about $50 to $100 per US metric ton by 2030, which is necessary to deliver on that Paris Climate Agreement. Do you think that growth is feasible, in your opinion?
Yes, absolutely. Carbon prices at the moment are kind of all over the place globally. In Australia, the average carbon price under the government-regulated market here is about 19 Australian dollars. In Europe, it's around about 40 or 50 euros. The Canadian government, at the moment in Canada, it's about 50 Canadian dollars a tonne, and the Canadian government has legislated to increase it to $170 a tonne by 2030. What we focus on is what they call the social capital cost of carbon. In other words, the cost to the world economically and socially, every time a tonne of carbon goes up into the air is US $50. And that was set by the Biden administration in March of this year. Prior to that, it was set at $45, so they've upgraded a little bit. So to us, that makes economic sense that, if this is going to be the impact of carbon, that has to be at least the benchmark price. So we see it being at least $50 a tonne very soon, and probably going to $80, $100 a tonne, sort of global average over the next 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely, and I think that's some startling statistics there. So just before I let you go, in the future, do you have any plans for CAS?
You mean in terms of commercial plans?
Yes. What will you be seeing?
Okay, so we're a relatively early stage company. The people that founded CAS, we've been involved in developing new stage technology in disruptive companies for over 30 years. So we're sort of fairly seasoned old bunch of founders. We wanted to focus on climate change solutions. We've put the company together over the last 2 years. We've just completed one capital raise. We're going through the process of another. Then we'll globally roll out across 2022 and 2023. We plan to do an IPO on one of the major exchanges globally. We're not sure which one yet, in 2023. So we've got a very defined commercial pathway. We think climate action is, solving climate action is the biggest investment opportunity of the future, as I mentioned before. It's the internet opportunity of today, and we think that we can do a whole lot of good. Make our investors, very significant financial returns.
Absolutely. And might I say congratulations on the expansion, and we look forward to potentially seeing that IPO in 2023, was it, you mentioned?
2023, towards the end of 2023 is our target.
That would be absolutely excellent. We look forward to that. So that is just about time to wrap up now, but I say thank you so much for your insights, Ian. It's been great having you on the show.
Thank you, Holly. It's been a pleasure. Much appreciated.
And thank you for your time as well, viewers. Stay tuned as we'll be back with more live market updates on Kalkine TV.